All right, what's up, you dirtbags? We are back for a very, very special live podcast. We are here live in Michigan. Two of my favorite guests ever, Jason Spangle, Dervin, Witmer. How are we doing, guys?
Good. It's only great.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers.
Beers at noon. Didn't think I'd be doing this on Valentine's Day, but here we are hanging out with you guys. So it's Dervin. How's the show been so far? What are you looking forward to the rest of the day?
It's good. Yeah, this is 24 annual conference for the Michigan Septic Tank Association. We do continuing education here, provide credit recording for the pumping license for companies throughout the state. We've enjoyed it so far. Kind of a new area within the venue, and so we're adjusting to that and getting cues for next year and stuff. But it's been good so far.
Yeah.
And so it's exciting to have you and Luke here and kind of add some outside. Also a friend of mine, Jim Alexi from Montana. So just doing great things across the country. And I like to bring idea people that I meet on social media here, and it's just been fun.
Yeah, it's been awesome too, just getting to network with everyone, getting to meet new people. I mean, I think there's 230 people.
Correct.
Yeah, so 230 people. I probably know 10 of those people before I came here, and so just a great opportunity to meet these people, and it's hosted at a casino, so even better to have a good time. But Jason, I know we're talking the other night, so what are you looking forward to tomorrow? What do you have going on? How about for the rest of the show as well?
Yeah, first of all, I mean, this has just been a really exciting week for us. It's kind of nice in the middle of winter to take a break and come and network and have the opportunity to, share ideas and thoughts and business practices with people in the same industry. There's a lot of passionate people in our membership. They're excited about growth and making money, which is what we're here to do, to set up those legacy businesses for the future and stuff like that. So I think the opportunity to continue to grow with that education piece is become more and more over the last couple of years, and I think that we're really pushing some of that, and it's important. I mean, at the end of the day, sometimes it's kind of like, I have to get credits, and that kind of stinks, and I got to take time out of doing this and that and things. But at the end of the day, once you're here and you meet with people and talk with people and have the opportunity to share thoughts, ideas, and things like that, I think that we grow not only personally, but we're able to take that back to our employees and the people that we work with in our community and share those things. So I think the rest of the day today has got some great stuff. I'm looking forward to roundtables. I think there's going to be a lot of good discussion. That's an opportunity for everybody to have a voice in the educational piece and to really get their thoughts and questions out to the people that are speaking at the table. So that's it's just a great time to be able to talk and grow and learn that way. So we got a great speaker this afternoon as well, and the banquet tonight, and so always looking forward to that. That's always a good time hanging out and just kind of, that's when you take your breath, kind of, and then get back at it in the morning for a couple hours and then be able to go home and take all those things that you learned and the vendors you talked to, all the information you got back to your business and go at it. So I think that the season is so intense up here for us in the summer. I mean, we work, super, super hard, and then we have an opportunity to kind of breathe, like I said. And this is kind of a remotivation for kicking off the spring and going at it. So
yeah, absolutely. I ran into Dwayne last night, and we were talking, and it's so cool because everyone.
Dwayne Sheeler.
Dwayne. Everyone that comes to these types of conferences, yes, we're in different industries. We have different areas of the state we're in, all things like that. But at the end of the day, we're all business-minded business owners, right? Where we're just trying to run a successful business. We don't want to be overstressed every single day. We want to provide for our families. And so I think having that common ground, like you mentioned, where you do want to grow your business, and yes, it's going to take some new ideas sometimes, or just perfecting what you're currently doing, but always working to improve the business. And then, like we talked about earlier too, just finding your why, like why are we doing any of this stuff, and really focusing on that. So bit of a different structure today, which I'm super excited about for the podcast. We've got some Coors Lights going, and also some NCON koozies, NCON lanyards. We've got some extra koozies and lanyards for anyone that wants to grab one up there.
First come, first serve.
First come, first serve. And then Dervin, if we could talk a little bit about NCon. Luke Payne, obviously the other dirtbag, he's not here right now, but he's got a couple NCons. He's a big advocate for them. If we can talk a little bit about them and how important that is to the industry and really just the Swiss Army knife that it can provide to a company.
Yeah. Shout out to NCon for being our sponsor. So we appreciate that. And yeah, like I said, there's stuff up here for you guys to grab if you want to, free items. NCon, I first came across NCon on social media in 2017. It was very new to North America. It's old hat in Europe. They've been using the technology for 30 years. But I didn't even go to any demo or anything. I saw the social media post on a attachment that would allow your bucket to rotate 360 degrees and also angle at 45, and I was like, I know that would make me more efficient. I know we could dig around utilities in a safer manner. I'm pretty sure it would increase our production. And at the same time, I got to know Dane Cotton from DC Excavation. So the 310 cat was coming out.
Yep.
We were racing for who could get the first 310, who could get the first NCon, and he beat me by a week. So cheers, Dane. And he has like 9 machines now with NCons on it. We have 3 different sizes. We have a 306, which is our repair mini size. We have a 310, which does most of our residential septic installs. And then we have the 315 where we're doing bigger commercial stuff, setting 2,000 gallon tanks. Actually, this week we're doing a Airbnb project in Three Oaks, Michigan. It's got 4 2,000 gallon tanks, and they're setting it with the 315. They're digging up close to the house. They're digging nice square holes. They're setting the tanks in. So it just makes you so versatile. And one of the things actually too is sometimes you have utilities that aren't marked, and we have uncovered utilities with the smooth cable buckets and just with the angling. It's, like you don't have those teeth out there like ripping apart phone lines and stuff. So it's just been really amazing. And then the cleanup on the side, sometimes we don't have a skid steer on site or something. And so with the grading buckets, we can clean up a site really fast, efficient. We have attachments that can uncouple hydraulically, no hoses. Look, Mom, no hoses instead of look, Mom, no hands.
Yeah.
So it's awesome. 30 seconds, you just switch the attachments, and it's all hydraulically done through the EC oil block, electrical connections and hydraulic connections. So it's been a super good investment for us. And so I believe in NCon. I think you can see the return on the investment as you purchase it. And people often think, hey, how can you justify adding, this many tens of thousands onto that attachment? But I say, don't look at it that way. Look at it as a complete package.
Yeah.
Don't buy the bucket, the thumb, the whatever. Buy a bare stick and just wrap it all into one thing. So that's how we've done it. Yeah,
I love that description of it too, because I think a lot of people, they're like, oh yeah, that seems like it'd be cool. I'll add that in. And then they see the price, the sticker shock, like, okay, that's a whole nother machine potentially just for the attachment, depending on the size. But like you said too, I mean, the efficiency, a lot of times that takes labor cost so far down because you don't have another guy in the field there working on it, because you can do so much with it. So what was the training time like? Because it is all new with the controls and everything, and just getting used to operating. How long did it take you to master that?
So like I said, I never went to a demo day or anything. And I got in this thing and I said, oh my goodness, what did I do? I felt totally lost for like a day. And then I would say for me, it was about a week. And I was onto it. And I don't even think anymore. If you ask me which thumb does what, I can't tell you.
Really?
You know what I'm saying?
Really?
If I thought long enough, I think I could, but it's all intuitive now.
Yeah.
And the guys get in it and they very quickly pick up on it and they love it. They're like, I got into a machine one time without an NCon. I'm like, this is like trying to work with a broken elbow.
Yeah.
Like, I want to turn my bucket.
Oh, I love it. So Jason, and we've got Jason with Esch's Septic here. So Jason, have you considered using tilt rotators? Do you use them? What are your thoughts on it? And especially as the future goes, and like, have you looked at that, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah. We just started installing this last summer, so shout out to my installer Andy up there in the crowd, and my partner Rick Troop. We were able to purchase some equipment this last summer and get started on installing. So that's been a new experience to us. We figured we'd do a few here and there, and we ended up doing quite a bit more as time went on. So Andy's had prior experience, and he's really gotten into the machine, and he works very diligently, very fast and efficient for what he does. So I don't know if I've said anything about, maybe we'll buy you an $80,000 gift in the future, to make your life
So
easier.
buy the case out there.
Yeah.
Contact Encon, get an EC206 and put it on, and you'll
There you go.
never look back.
Yeah. So right now it's very much in the infant stages
sure.
of what we're doing. So we kind of have to, our scope is big, but it's small.
Yeah.
It's small in the sense of what do we have now to work with, and how efficient are we becoming with that? And when we move forward in the future, what pieces are we going to use to become more efficient? So,
Right.
those things you think about, and you envision, yes, I'd love to have something like that someday, to make this and this easier. We're not at that point yet, and that's okay. But we have a great group of guys that are motivated and really want to watch this, take off and grow. So
Yeah, absolutely. So with Esch's, how many installs roughly did you guys do in 2023? And then how has that grown in the years past? And where do you see that going in the future?
Well, that's a good question. I don't think I have an exact number of what we installed. I would say that we surpassed what we had kind of planned. We had we didn't set a super high number, but we didn't set a super low number either, kind of in the discussion process. But it was, we want to be able to do as much as we can, as efficient as we can, and as clean and productive as we can for the customer. So you start to get into those things where that generates some other stuff, where you get in there and you do a really good job, and you get in and out and good timing. And then that person wants you to come in and put a driveway in the spring, or,
Right.
come take some trees down and pull some stumps and stuff like that. So we're looking, at those little avenues that stick out there as well to, be able to do that as well. So, it's been good.
Yeah.
So
I know we've got a lot of listeners that typically will start in the dirt world. So let's say they buy a skid steer, they buy a mini, they start doing some work, driveways, things like that. And then they realize that there is an opportunity within septic. And this could go to both you guys. What would you say to somebody that's starting from the outside and potentially wants to get certified to do septic? What would you say from a business standpoint, but also the client standpoint of like who they can expect to bring in and work with? We'll start with Dervin.
Yeah. So when we started off, as an excavation company. We had an opportunity to hook up sewer connections around lakes. So I was just primarily thinking sewer and excavating and stuff like that. But then as we started the projects, we were abandoning septic tanks, and so I saw that as another avenue of doing more work within the same field, so to speak, but a little different focus. And then we found that the pumping side of things actually feeds work into the excavating side of things. So, if you have a skid steer, that kind of limits you to, driveways and grading and cleanup.
Right.
But if you get an excavator, well, now you expand into the trenching side of things. You can do sewer, water, septic, stuff like that. And then, the pumping side gets you into a whole nother kind of an area. So what was your original question?
Yeah, just somebody getting into it, and you definitely alluded to it there. So I think there's a difference starting in the dirt world and then going to putting septic tanks in, and then I think that final stage will be the pumping side. So I feel like most people, especially the people listening, start in the dirt world, then they get certified to put tanks in. So what can they expect by putting those tanks in, as far as like what their business can do because they have that opportunity, and how they can differentiate from every other Joe Blow with the skid steer and every other Tom, Dick, and Harry with, their neighbor that can do it for cheaper.
Yeah,
things
so
like that.
if you once you get into the septic side of excavating, it's a little more specialized. Not everybody wants to do it. Sometimes the conditions are a lot more tight. You're working around utilities, buildings, things like that. Some people like to just do like open, like mass excavation and open cuts and stuff like that. But yeah, you get into a little more specialized area. So it really depends on the areas you work. There's varying levels of certifications or workability with the different counties that you work in and stuff like that. So each county kind of has different requirements. So yes, you have to have a working relationship with each county. And in this, I work across state lines. We work in Indiana too. So we have certifications in Indiana. We work with a few counties down there, and then we work in 6 or 7 counties in Michigan. So yeah, it's, you have to get set up with each county to work in. And then, that gets us into more and more opportunity for specialized excavation. Like we're a sledgehammer distributor. That's secondary. We're a Norweco secondary treatment distributor. Trying to think if we have any other. We've a lot of infiltrator products we can get certification for in the county. So, and people don't like to think outside the box. Like, I just want to bring my backhoe and my dump truck in here and stick a tank in the ground and go away. But we're not like that. We're like, can we find in our area, especially where there's a lot of lakes and lake homes and high water table, we're like, can we find the best solution for our customers? So that's what, when you get into this septic excavation world, you can really become specialized in different areas. There's the whole municipal side of things where you can service lift stations and stuff like that. So it just kind of explodes. Pumps and controls is a whole nother area of expertise that you can get into if you like electricity and troubleshooting. And my background is electric motor repair. So I grew up in my dad's business. So I love pumps and controls.
All right, you dirtbags, we're going to take a quick break to thank one of our sponsors, Lambert Insurance Services. If you know Luke and I, we started this podcast to provide value to the construction industry. When we went to seek out an insurance company to work with, there's not a whole lot that are specific to the industry. And we really didn't want to work with a generalist agency, so we kind of put that on the back burner. Then we got to meet Sam Lambert. Sam is a fellow dirtbag himself. He's been in the industry for a long time, but he also started his insurance company in 2008 specifically for construction companies. So when we had that conversation, we knew that this would be the perfect match. So we started working with him, and he's been incredible. He leads first. He wants to be a resource first and an insurance agency second. They can help with provide general liability, workers' comp, commercial truck insurance, insurance for equipment, and so many more different avenues that he can provide coverage for. The great part about it is, they're licensed in most states, and they always quote through multiple companies. So that's how you know you can get a competitive rate. And even better, Sam, he's the owner. He wanted to provide his cell number just so if you have any questions, specifically from the dirtbags, you can always text him, give him a call, ask to compare plans, or just ask what his rates would be, and then he can help direct you to the right place or answer your question from there. His number is 385-204-5799, or you can reach them at their website, which is lambert-ins.com. So reach out to him if you have any insurance questions. We're very excited about this partnership. Sam is an awesome guy, and we're just excited to continue providing value for all you dirtbags. So thank you, Lambert Insurance. Give him a text, shoot him a call, let him know that you're fans of the Dirtbags podcast. Let's get back to it.
And so it was like, hey, this is like back home, but I'm doing it in the dirt, And so there's just some fun
and other stuff.
Yeah. It's unlimited, really, how much you want to expand into. But find those areas where people don't want to work. Find that niche market and become the expert in it. And you can really grow your business that way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love what you just mentioned there. Find the stuff that people don't want to do and find out why, and then make it a profitable service and become very, very good at that. And why not go take that over? And I feel like there's just so much work out there, especially in the trades and especially in excavation and especially in septic. As you keep drilling down further and further, it's like the work is out there. You can go get it. But you also want to make sure that you always go back to treating your customers right. And I talked about that with many people today of very you got to wear that heart on your sleeve too of hey, word travels fast. If you start screwing over people, you're not going to be in business too long. So the more you can take care of your customers, the more successful your business is going to be. And then just surrounding yourself with the right people and the right pieces in place. And I think when we come to conferences like these, I think that's what we're looking to do is, okay, we're taking care of our customers. We know we can do that. So what other pieces can we start to add in slowly and not burn this thing to the ground, but slowly add some pieces in, try some new things, and continue to innovate and adapt so that this business can live on well past when we all pass, and can really be a blessing to our kids and grandkids if they want to take it over.
Yeah. I think for my end was, which is completely opposite of Dervin's, I started in the septic world, bought a business off of a gentleman that started in 1976, and him and his wife didn't have any kids. I was teaching elementary school at the time, and this was my summer job. So my summer job was cleaning toilets, delivering toilets, hauling toilets around, doing things like that. And so that was the birth of my experience, was in the septic world and in the porta pot side of things. And then as time went on, I eventually went full time at the septic business and left teaching school. Learned how to.
Were you disappointed when you did that?
No, absolutely, absolutely not. Well, and many people know that my wife Heidi and I have 9 kids. So at that point, we had about 5 of them. So
you had your own school.
Well, yeah, but we had that discussion. Like, I need to do something other than teaching to finance the family sports team that we're creating here. So, I went full time into pumping septics and doing porta pots, and kind of, Bill and Beth, my predecessors, were very instrumental in teaching me everything about the trade and letting me in on all the intimate office secrets and things like that, And so I bought it from them in 2017, and we pumped tanks and did portables, and then this last year I hired Andy actually to be a pump truck driver, and actually had Andy in school when I would sub a couple times, and so I knew Andy previously in my other work world. And Andy and I had talked a couple times, and he's like, "I always wanted to come work for you," and I'm like, "I always wanted you to come work for me." So it worked out really well. He came to work for me, and then he would keep badgering me. Every day he would come in and he'd be like, "Why aren't we installing septic tanks? Why aren't we installing septic tanks?" And I'm like, "Fine. Why aren't we installing septic?" So you sit down and you think about it, and I called Rick, and I'm like, "Rick, why aren't we installing septic tanks in northern Michigan?" And he's like, "Well, I don't know. Why aren't you?" And so we had a discussion. We hooked up. We got some equipment from Tim Marcy from Ratty Septic, and the rest was kind of history. And that was the birth of installation and
that happened
excavating.
because of this association.
Gotcha.
It did.
That helped, his connection with Rick and his connection with the equipment people, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. And I, just the networking and being able to see, kind of who you can jive with and different things like that, and what you're able to put together, and the teamwork that you can do. I got a lot of great people that work around me, a lot of great companies, great septic companies that, they would do anything for you, and you would do anything for them, and you work together because you're in the same industry. It's the same family per se, So this was an opportunity for us to grow on our end, and so we added the excavation piece, the installation side, and then I also added a drain cleaning division this year as well. So we kind of went all in this last summer and adding a couple things, which in turn generated a pretty good deal of income there.
Yeah.
And so it's been real good. But going from septic into excavating, for me, I mean, yeah, I can sit in an excavator and dig dirt and throw it around and do stuff like that, but without Rick's expertise, because he's been doing it for 20 years plus, that's kind of why I brought him into that piece,
right.
Because he's got that experience, and we're very much yin and yang in this company. He's very much the technical side person, and I'm learning that technical piece, how to do these things. And then I'm kind of the pretty face. Trying to see if he's going to give me a response, but no. I'm the, I'm more on the customer side of things. I the phone calls come in, we get permits out to people, and so kind of the paperwork side of things, and then Andy's up with us because Rick's got his own septic company, and I've got my own septic company, and then we share this excavating piece. So
right.
It's been good.
That's up north?
Yeah, that's up north excavating.
Yep.
So which was
guys.
another interesting thing too, because it's kind of like, how do we, so that just a few years ago, there was probably 5 excavating companies in our neighborhood, and then we were down to 1 in the last couple years. There was another larger one in Lewiston, and that guy kept saying, why aren't you installing? Why aren't you installing? Like, you're the first person that sees the issue and can solve the issue. Why aren't you installing? And I'm like, well, it was kind of the old boy out of respect thing for a couple of those guys. And I actually approached the guy in Mayo there that is still in business. And I said, I'm thinking about going into installing. And he's like, hey, you know what? There is plenty of room for you in this industry and to install. And so, it's kind of like asking Dad for permission, I mean, we were going to do it anyways. I mean, just because there's a need for it, and it was a good addition to our company, but it was also, out of respect for other people in the industry to, share your vision and kind of thoughts in that sense. So, it's worked out really well, and we're excited to grow that piece as well. The part right now that I guess is the most difficult is trying to learn and grow the excavating side of things, but not forget
septic
about what we have started here, and to still maintain a large presence amongst the employees on the septic side, and don't leave them out. Don't feel like, yep, we've trained you, this is your job, come in, clock in, go to work, here's your check, go home. We don't want to create that. We want to create that. Luke Payne talked about those friendships that you make, and
the culture,
and that's a good thing. But raising those employees up, and there's simple things like he talked about. We talked about changing. Jim Alexi said, instead of calling them pumpers, calling them technicians, and we do that as well. It's a professional job. And we refer to them as professional technicians that are expertise in what they do. And, we have to not lose sight of that in this vision over here on doing the excavating stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I love about the septic side, and you touched on this, is just the problem solving and the critical thinking that goes into it. And it is a different scenario every single job you go out to, and the different systems and the way the slope is and just everything. So a lot of times you don't know what you're going to dig up, right? And so you dig it up. And what I love, though, is how you can showcase some of those failures or some of those tough projects on social media.
Right.
And then you can show other people that are following you how you're going to solve it. And so some of the best, I mean, obviously, Dervin, you guys do a great job. Esha Septic, Canadian Septic, of course, James Stixma, even Brian Andronico with Anderson Septic. And that's what I always recommend is when somebody asks, well, how do I get on social media? Like, what am I going to talk about? And I always say, just nerd out about what you know. So talk about how many yards of dirt you brought in. Talk about why you're doing it this way. Talk about what system you're putting in and why. And don't even think about what other people are going to think of your post, but just nerd out about it. And then you'll be surprised at how many people are like, wow, I did not know that. Because then you're adding value and you're teaching somebody something for free online. And then you start to network with all these other contractors across the world and see that there may be even better solutions to do what you're currently doing.
Right.
Yeah. And you and I alluded to this earlier in a conversation we had this morning, is sometimes when we're doing the social media piece, we want to post every picture of a shiny truck or a shiny piece of equipment in the most precious, valuable looking picture that we
not
could possibly
realistic.
with the sun shining in just right, and the clouds and
I mean, you
and,
do
and
have
things
to
like
have
that.
some of that.
No, you do, and you catch those moments, but people like to see broken equipment. They like to see mud and dirt on people. They like to see the real life aspect of the jobs that you're doing. So
That's the transparency aspect
and
of social media.
I mean, if you got a picture of yourself covered in crap at the end of the day on your septic page, like, people love that stuff. They're gonna hit the like button all day long, and unfortunately you were covered in poop, but that's it's the real life aspect of your business. Like, what are we really doing? Because if every day all I drove was a bright shiny truck with no dirt on it or mud, then I'm probably not making any money at all.
Yeah, right.
And all I'm doing is spending time running my power washer. So it's just those little pieces, and just being consistent, like we talked about as well. I am terrible at posting for like 3 weeks straight, and then I ghost my accounts for another week, and then I got to start that algorithm all over again, where the social media is like, oh, he is still alive, and these are still businesses, and here we go again.
So let's talk about that, because you and I had a discussion about that off the podcast, and how does somebody like you, somebody listening, that does get in those valleys and mountains of just, okay, I'm doing really good, I'm posting for 3 months, everything's going well, but then you get super busy and you stop. Like, how do you combat that?
I heard a speaker today talking about delegating things.
Would that apply here?
Who was that guy?
That was a test.
There we go. You passed.
Okay, good. Well, one of the things that helps me be consistent is I've really kind of trained our guys to be those eyes.
Yeah.
Like, what do you see that you like? Like, what's cool about your job? For one thing, it makes them think about, my job's cool.
Yeah.
All right. Then the second thing is that they can get some approval from the boss.
Yep.
Like, and I'm not really the boss. I consider myself a worker with them.
For sure.
But anyway, they get approval from their management, right? So they send me pictures at the end of the day, and I'm like, good job. This is great.
Right.
And then they see it posted and they like it. So when your employees are liking your business posts, you have something pretty cool going on within the culture of the company, and they love it, and I love it, and the social media world loves it.
Yeah, and the best part about that, too, is they're going to show their friends, they're going to show their family. Like, Luke had a picture the other day of one of his guys. He had a cigarette in his mouth, and he was hanging out by, I think it was their 336, and he was operating, but he's a young 20-some-year-old guy, and he's showing that to everybody. He's just like, this is me, this is what I do, but he's proud of that. He's proud to showcase that and showcase the work that they're doing and to be a part of that whole mission. And I think, especially with you two sitting here, I think that goes into a great question of, you guys have a lot of kids, you have a lot of family working for your business. So how do you paint that picture for your kids, for your family? Because you don't want to force it upon them. You don't want them to be turned away from the business. So how do you paint the picture of, we want this to be a blessing. We want you to be excited about this, and not something that, I just have to do it because dad started it. So how do you go about that?
Yeah. So I think for me, I've never thought that I want to live vicariously through my children. So I want them to be like, Dad has the best job, and I want to do what Dad does and carry that on. And that's not it. The septic business, that's my job. That's my dream, my passion, and what I do with that is mine at the moment. Now, I'm building this for a purpose. You're building it to either pass that legacy on and let some children grow that, or if you have a son-in-law or daughter-in-law or whatever that comes into the family and wants to run it that way, or I'm going to sell it. I tell them I have 2 retirement options. They either, we move them into leadership positions and they run the business and they pay me for the rest of my life, or I sell it. And then I'm able to take that money and invest in their visions as well. Hopefully it's at a good point where we get good value for the company that we've built over time. And if we have good value in that, then we're able to invest in our kids' lives and their dreams,
Right.
and help them in that way. My oldest daughter wants to be a cosmetologist. She wants to get married. She wants to have kids, and she wants to cut hair out of her house in a little side room built onto the house. She's extremely competitive and smart, and but that's her goal.
Absolutely.
And my son Grant doesn't like poop, and he'll say that, but he likes dirt. And so that might be something down the road where that's where he ends up. I've got a girl, Livy, and she's in the middle of the pack of the 9, and she would say that she's the boss already. When she
Second
was,
born.
yeah, when she was a little girl, she was standing in the office door one day, opening the door and closing it, going, "I'm the boss, I'm the boss." So you have kids that show interest at a young age, and that still might not be the interest 10 years later. Your children are a little older, so you've kind of experienced maybe the fluctuation in being interested, not interested. Or I always want it to be an option for them. I don't want to ever force my kids into anything that you have to go to work every day and be passionate and like. Now, not every day is going to be good. Obviously, we know that, but
10%. I like
yeah,
to say is 10% is going to be really shitty.
Yeah,
but
so
the other is going to be really good.
But it's nice to get up every day and go to work and enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to force any of my children or family members into a position where it's like, I built this for you, and you better work in it, and you better love it, and this is it. This is what you have to do.
Right.
No, it's we have options. We've created options in our household in what we're doing. We've created this business option where you have an opportunity to work in this business and run it and expand it and grow it, and
Right.
There's room for all of you. Or we can chase all of your visions individually, or two of you here, and however that works out. I don't really care. That at the end of the day doesn't matter to me how we do it. It is just, it's a family decision. It's mom and dad and this kid and this kid, or however it works out. But we just want to be able to bring them along, lift them up, and encourage them to be the best in whatever they choose to do, obviously. So there's no I'm going to force you to do this type of thing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Dervin, I'd be interested for sure, because some days I look at Dervin's social media, and all of his kids are actively involved in doing things. Like Lucian's videotaping us right now, and right in on this, and your kids are at that age where, I guess, what are your sentiments towards that, and how does that work as they get older and are able to make, decisions whether they want to work in the business or outside of the business? And I guess, how do you guys?
Well, the first time you see interest in the company is like, "Dad, I need money." I'm like, "All right, we can work something out here."
Yeah.
No, I think for me, it's build a professional system first. Make something that looks good and is good and is quality, is professional. And that's one thing I keep encouraging our industry. It's really easy to just slide into the gutter in our industry. It takes work, it takes time, it takes money to keep it at a professional level. But you are professionals. I say that at every conference. You are professionals in the state of Michigan. Let's act like it.
Yeah.
And so you create something that is professional, and if you're proud of it, your kids pick up on that. I've had some sentiment like, "Well, Dad, how do we tell our kids that we own a septic company and not be like the end of the conversation?" I'm like, well, just look at what we've been able to accomplish. Look at the services we're providing. Look at the health we're maintaining. In the state of Michigan, we have so much fresh water, but yet we're protecting it through public health, through managing on-site septic systems. So let's create a cool way to present this, and that's where social media comes in, and that's where the educational side came into
and the merch.
Yes, yes. So it's interesting. It's kind of like, okay, yeah, you pump septic, okay, but as the kids grow up, they find ways of making it cool.
Yep.
And so I'm at the stage now where I was just like, okay, you need money dilution? Get your CDL. You're going to drive a vac truck. Okay. Well, he's driven a vac truck for 6 years or something?
Yeah.
I don't know what it's been. And he's like, Dad, I learned everything there is about pumping. I'd like to move into a different area of the company. So like, okay, what are you good at? You're good at, he's been doing marketing all the time. He's been a driver.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, he had surgery. I need to be off my feet, heal my knee. I'd like to go full time in the marketing. And I'm like, I didn't actually see that.
Yep.
He saw that. And he's like, I think I want to do that. So there you go. My kid just saw something that I didn't see as a need right now in the company to grow it. And it's huge. It's exploding. So now his younger brother, they jive back and forth about content and funny stuff. And it's like, they're both getting excited about it, and even the younger kids. So, but within that, you see different strengths within all of your kids. So don't say, well, y'all got to learn how to run the vac truck. Well, my daughter does dispatching and pays the bills and stuff like that. She's a very verbal person. So you get her on the phone and she's chit-chatting with everything. And I think Jim Lexi or others talked about the face of the company is the phone call. She's the face of the company right now. And so that's been cool. And so I have, each kid that grows up into it, they find these different aspects. And I had one kid that's pursuing a professional soccer career in Europe, but he calls back and he's like, is there something I can do to work for you? Because he's like, that was really cool. Yeah. What my siblings are doing is really cool. And, I didn't think that he specifically thought too much about the company until one time he was playing Fortnite and he was talking with his buddies and he's like, dude, my dad got sent over to Sweden by Encon to tour their plant. And he's like, that was so cool. So he sees different aspects of the company and the opportunities that are there. And he's bragging about it.
Yeah.
And I use the younger kids. They do site restoration, seed, straw.
Yeah.
They come out in the summer, they'll wash trucks and stuff like that. And it's just transferred to the employees. The culture has moved into employees as we've gotten employees. There's some of my employees that they don't like washing trucks, but there's some that do, like firefighters. Hire firefighters if you want clean trucks because they're used to cleaning everything at the end of every job. And it's just like, it eventually pays you back. Just be consistent, be faithful, set the bar high, be excited about what you're doing, talk about the professionalism that we need in this industry, and your kids catch on to it and they get on board.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I wrote down there too was just as a business owner, being agile and being open-minded, because I think sometimes we think everything needs to run through us or I'm the boss and no, this is how I've always done it. But you got to have a little bit of that of if Lucian comes up to you and says, Dad, I think there's something here with the marketing. Like, can I give this a go? And you want to set up those frameworks and boundaries, but at the same time, you got to be open-minded and say, well, it's not what I would have chosen, but let's try it. I trust you. And then all of a sudden you're like, this is working. And then listening to your kids, listening to your employees, bringing them in on the goals even too, and just the transparency of your business. And I love that last point you made, which is something I'm a big advocate for, making it cool, making it something that they're proud of to show their friends and family.
Sponsor their teams.
Their teams. I love it. And just making it something where you're not embarrassed to talk about it, but this is pretty badass. Like what we're doing, this is pretty cool. And showcasing that, putting it on a hat, doing different things, and showcasing the work and just being proud of it. So
I think that sometimes as leaders or bosses or whatever our role is, some people don't take constructive criticism well, and I think some of the best constructive criticism comes from our own children.
Yeah.
They're honest and upfront, and they don't shy away from telling us how they feel. So, like, one of the greatest things is I have these T-shirt designs, and the best person to take them home to is like your 9-year-old daughter, because she's like, nope, that one's ugly. that one's all right. Let's do this. So, I mean, there's an opportunity to, dig into that relationship with your children and let them help make some of those decisions. I'm too close to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm designing this and I'm so close to it that it might look all right to me, but then everybody else, when I put it on, is like, no, it's an ugly shirt. Like, why would you ever do that? You know,
That's an ugly vest.
That's why people hire. That's why people hire like phaser marketing to. And I'm going to put the pitch in here. So no, that's why people hire phaser marketing to build websites.
Sure.
You know, like I tried one time to build my own website on Wix, and I'm sitting there for hours, like beating my head on the desk, like, yeah, that looks good. And then my wife comes over and she's like, why would you put that on your page? Like, that background is ugly. And I'm like, I'm just way too close to this personally.
Right.
I'm making it personal. I need those opinions and ideas.
Third party.
Yeah, to come from the outside.
So here's where the collaboration happens. You get the creative ones in your company to do the production, but you're the content.
Yeah.
That's my role now as I'm working with the boys and Lucian on marketing. Is they're like, oh, what are we marketing? You know, oh, I have this idea, and sometimes I come up with too many ideas. Like, whoa, slow down, Dad. You know,
the brakes.
But the idea is, you know, the industry, you know, the needs, you know what you want to market, but then you just tell them, okay, we're going to market advanced treatment in Indiana. Okay, go for it. Or we're going to talk about, you know, protecting lake waters, or we're going to talk about septic inspections and what we feel are septic inspections, why they're better than 90% of the inspections happening around us. Or we're going to talk about the need for tank pumping, and you know, it's not just because it's full, it's because it's a settling chamber that gets too much contamination, and we're putting heavy biology out into the field that is clogging our field. So this is the reason. So it's education and all of that. So, but you're the content manager, but they're the producers.
Yeah.
And so you aren't good at color. So stop designing, bro.
Right.
You know. So but let the designers do the designing.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, this is what I want to grow. So make me something like this. And then there's that you're always better with collaboration.
Yep.
My brother-in-law did all our designing, and he said, if I brought you a logo and you approved it the first time, I'm not going to be impressed with the logo.
Right.
But if you say, I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like this, change that. After 10 changes, we're like, we've got what we want.
Yeah. You always want to focus on collaboration, and also too realizing that you're not as good as you think you are.
Right.
And
Exactly.
just realizing that you got to let go of the vine.
Yes.
Talks about that as well.
Yes.
Letting go of the vine, bringing others in and be like, wow, other people can take care of my business better than I can, and help me with it and collaborate. So, but yeah, as we wrap up, I just got to say huge thanks to you guys for jumping on here.
Pleasure.
Chopping it up a little bit, and then
Encon, thank you, Encon.
Massive thank you to Encon for sponsoring the podcast, especially this one. And then Coors Light, a couple drinks at lunchtime. I mean, that's kind of fun. I mean, drinks on a Tuesday. And then thank you to MSTA and just everyone here for having us, of course, and setting all this up, and all of our sound guys. I mean, this has been a ton of fun.
Yeah.
Incredible. So
Awesome.
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Let's get
Cheers.
to it. Cheers.
Cheers.